Hey, it's Doris with All of the Books, and I'm here for a Monday check-in. Newsflash, I'm reading like a banshee. Yes, I'm so proud. Anyway, I have one more book that I finished in August to share. That is The Stranger by Albert Camus. This one started out well. I love how he writes. His writing style is beautiful. He writes very kind of minimalist and these sweeping panoramic portraits of the setting that are just gorgeous. Yes. However, I did not get along with the story at all. Disclaimer, my freshman year in college, I took a philosophy course and hated it with a passion and swore I would never take another. So yeah, I enjoy intellectual discussions about, religion and governmental philosophy and economics and, stuff like that. But the meaning of life doesn't do it for me. And this one is just a classic example of why. So yeah, I get it. It's supposed to be this absurdism thing, and I read up on it. I kind of get the impression with this nakedness of man faced with the absurd, I kind of get the impression that we're supposed to think that all these things happened to him and he was innocent, and I didn't really read it that way, so maybe I'm reading it wrong. But to me, if you are going to, I don't know, be aware that a woman is being beaten and abused and revenge sought on her, whether or not you think she deserves it for whatever she did, and you're gonna participate in the exacting of that revenge, dogs being abused and whatnot. We have a saying here that about karma, and I'll just leave it at that. But that's what kind of philosophy I think this is. It's dealing with karma and how that's going to get you. But anyway, didn't work for me. Sorry. Then, just in the last day and a half, okay, because this is September 2nd and it's not even over, but I have finished 4 books. Now, granted, one was one I'd been reading and I had about 150 pages left, and the other 3 are small, but still, I'm on a roll. I've got momentum going. So I finished The Forester's Daughter by Claire Keegan. Sean and I are working on a review of this, so I will chat about that soon. Sorry, the lawnmower's ramping up again. And I finished 2 cat poetry books today and found them both delightful. This is the one Sean sent. Thanks again, Sean. This one is a variety of poems all about cats. Some are translated from just a wide variety of languages. Polish, Italian, French, Spanish. Just fun read. And then this one, Charles Bukowski's On Cats. This is all from Charles Bukowski, and most of them are poems, but there are some also prose passages pulled from his novels, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, Charles Bukowski seems to be a bit of a raw writer, so to speak, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure he's not a writer that I would gravitate toward naturally, but this particular volume really worked for me. There's one about him, trying to take a nice relaxing bath and the cat falling in, and I just now, if you're sensitive about animals and cats in general, this is not a delicate writing at all. But anyway, I was amused. and he is a cat lover and understands cats truly. And then I finished Oriental by Negar Javadi. This one I was reading for Women in Translation Month, and I am so happy to finish. This book is really, really excellent. There have been there's a tag going around about literary fiction, which I kind of agree with the Britta and Robert from Barter Hordes and Britta Buller, their idea that literary fiction is not a genre. I don't think it is. I think genre fiction can be literary. I think literary is an adjective that describes fiction, a style of fiction, or a quality of fiction, as Robert might say. But this book is high on the literary spectrum. So, yes. It's set in Iran and France after they're forced to flee as refugees to France. And the parents were heavily involved in the revolution and were persecuted because of that. And 3 daughters. This one is the youngest daughter writes the book, and it's just dealing with war and her sexuality and just feeling comfortable in your own body, and immigration, and that's really what it feels to not have a homeland and to not belong where you live, and how that affects you psychologically. It's a really great book, really great book. Disclaimers, being literary fiction, she experimented with the structure of this. So the main character is in a fertility clinic when the book opens up. And so you flash back and forth between her in this fertility clinic and you not really knowing what's going on with that. She uses that to drive the story forward. So this curiosity about what's going on with the fertility clinic and why she's there. And then she nests the backstory in that current story. So it can be a little bit confusing at times to keep up with it, because you're talking about the extended family all the way back to great-grandparents in Iran, and you jump around between all of the different backstories and the current story. So that is a little bit hard to keep up with at times. And she's so caught up in the psychological things that the characters are dealing with, that she really, other than that they're highly political, dealing with this revolution, you don't really know. She doesn't really talk about what's going on with the people there and how they're being oppressed. So I think if you're going to read this, I would suggest that you also read Persepolis along with it. That I think would be a really great pairing of literature. And now I'm still reading up a storm. Britta and I have started What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. This is a short story collection, so I'm caught up in there. I've started reading The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson. This is the epic story of America's Great Migration. So when this goes from 100 years time, so right after the Civil War, or as the Civil War ended, all the way up past the Civil Rights Movement in the mid-60s, all the way in 1970. So yeah, 100 years of African Americans moving out of the South and kind of spreading through the North and West in search of a better life, places where Jim Crow wasn't as prevalent and they could, feel like the citizens that they were, instead of, this weird limbo land of Jim Crow situations. Anyway, this book, I've only read 19 pages, but I can already tell that it is brilliant. This is really, really an awesome nonfiction read. I will keep you posted. I'm reading that one with Heidi from My Reading Life and Patrice Jones, who is a commenter that we read a lot with. And Karen from Run Right Reads has joined us, so it's going to be a great time. And then I'm also working on Bee Quest by Dave Goulson, another nonfiction. He is an entomologist out of the UK who studies bees, and these are some of his field studies. So yeah, trying to ramp up for Nonfiction November, which is coming soon. Anyway, yeah, September is going to be a great reading month, so I gotta get back to it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye!